Begin in the Federal Capital Territory, where the Abuja-Kaduna train service is expected to be back on track this month. And that's according to the Minister of Transportation, Sambo, while giving the scorecard of his ministry in Abuja. The rail service was suspended some months ago after bandits attacked and kidnapped travelers on board. TJ Swadiri has that story.
Cheering news for rail passengers as the federal government announces plans to resume operations on the Kaduna-Abuja rail line. It has been 7 months since the train service was suspended following the attack on the Kaduna-Abuja train and the abduction of some of the passengers. At this press conference, the Minister of Transportation gives an update on the ongoing projects in the transport sector and also rules out the successes achieved in his sector. He also gives strong assurances that the Abuja-Kaduna train service will resume later this month with a 24-hour surveillance for the safety of passengers and securing the infrastructure already put in place.
This month of November, we shall resume that service. So we have also deliberately taken steps. Like you said, yes, indeed, lessons have been learned. And these lessons will be put into place. What are the lessons? Safety and security, surveillance, constant monitoring, 24/7, 7 days a week, 12 months a year.
Nigeria's information minister also takes a swipe at critics, arguing that the Buhari administration has recorded tremendous successes and has many achievements to show.
It is equal irony that the party that presided over the affairs of this great country in a time of plenty but could not complete a single modern rail line is the one accusing an administration that has completed at least 3 standard gauge rail lines of lacking achievement. Indeed, the Buhari administration is spoiled for choice in celebrating its achievements.
The federal government acknowledges that though the transportation sector is far from perfect, the current development will be a solid foundation for the next administration to build on. TJ Swadiri, TVC News, Abuja.
And for more on the resumption of the Abuja-Kaduna train service, we have a public affairs analyst, Ambrose, joining us now from Enugu to help make sense of all of these. Ambrose, it's nice to have you join me right now.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Great. Now, first of all, let me ask you, I know you've been following this development. What lessons do you think we have learned from the incident on the Abuja-Kaduna rail service a few months ago? Ambrose, are you there?
Okay, I can hear you now. I lost it for a while.
Okay, I was asking that what lessons do you think we have learned as a people and even government from the incident on the Abuja-Kaduna rail track, the attack that happened some months ago?
First of all, I if you did see any CCTV camera of passengers in each of the coaches. So the first thing to do is that we don't have surveillance cameras inside the coaches. So the first thing to do is to ensure that we put surveillance cameras. If we have that, a surveillance camera that is transmitting online real time to the headquarters of the Nigeria Railway Corporation, then perhaps it would have been easier to identify the attackers and go straight on for them and be able to monitor online real time what was happening in the train. But we didn't have that. So first thing, inside the train coaches, there must be surveillance cameras. That is number one lesson and the correction to that. Secondly, we do not have surveillance along the rail tracks. Apart from kidnappers and the banditry, we also issue of theft of the rail tracks. So we need to have surveillance around that area that is transmitting on online real time. Then the issue of using modern technology like drones to monitor the tracks, the distance between Abuja, Kaduna, or from wherever the trains are going, is also something we can easily deploy. And we have a central station that collates all the footages so that it can be easy to analyze and easy to pinpoint where there are problems. Thirdly, we need physical boots on ground on very special, specific locations along that route, because there are flash points. There are a lot of forests and there are flash points. And I'm sure the military or the armed forces intelligence have these flash points. Therefore, it is now pertinent to ensure that there are boots on ground for these areas. Another thing is, while people were being attacked, there was no direct communication between the passengers or even the crew and the station, the railway station, or the headquarters of Nigeria Railway Corporation. We saw a lady, remember the lady doctor who tweeted live and who later died. You know, so people were resorting to use of social media and the rest. There should be direct communication with the headquarters of the Nigeria Railway Corporation and also security forces, so that if such a thing happens, then we can easily communicate, and the armed forces should be able to mobilize those around those contiguous areas so that they can contain such attack. I think these are the next things we need to learn and actively implement these measures to ensure that it's prevented, because the criminals themselves know that if those places are monitored, if there may be a deterrent to want to do such attack. But if they know they can do and get away with it, they will be emboldened to be able to carry out such attacks in the future.
All right.
So surveillance is important. Preventive actions are important for prevent this kind of actions from taking place again.
Yeah. All right. Now, the train service is about to resume soon, and the minister is giving assurances that there will be surveillance 24/7 round the clock on the rail tracks and all of that. You think that is enough to make the people not have apathy towards a rail transport service, especially between Abuja and Kaduna?
But human beings are gregarious. Human beings move. Human beings cannot be confined in a certain place out of fear for a long time. Even the road we're talking about, that field of battle between Kaduna and Abuja, on daily basis, people still ply that road. So you cannot contain human beings in a place out of fear. Your fear can last for a few days, few months, and the rest, and they go out for it. So there will not be apathy. People will come to the hoping for the best and hoping that the federal government keeps its assurances, especially what the minister has said, that the place will be monitored 24/7. It is also high time that we started as citizens to also, hold our leaders accountable. Like the minister has said, if there are passengers on the train and have noticed that there are no surveillance, there are no cameras, you are traveling, you are looking at there are no visible CCTVs, there are not even cameras inside the coaches, there are no communication equipment, they should be raising the alarm. We should start complaining of things that are not there before they happen. The problem is that we always wait for tragedy to happen before we react. Let the citizens start reacting so that they will be forcing the government to put things in place and not the other way around. But as our people will travel, people must travel because people must move from place to place.
All right. As it is right now, the lots of commendation regarding the move towards bouncing back. But however, beyond Abuja-Kaduna rail track, there are other projects, rail service projects that the federal government is handling and hoping to handle. What do you think should be in place ahead of time? Because it looks like some things were not on ground at this time. So now that this happened, we're trying to see how we can, ameliorate or do some palliatives regarding security and other gadgets that should be. What do you think should be considered going forward towards other projects, real service projects that should be conducted by the federal government?
One of the cardinal actions I think the government should take is that they should put the locals in the itinerary, the locations of where the rail tracks pass through. The local people should be recruited as civilian task force, because the military or the armed forces cannot be everywhere along the tracks. But those tracks pass through communities, pass through farmlands of people. Then the local community, the government should engage the local youths as vigilantes, as joint civilian forces, to be able to man those rail tracks to prevent theft, to prevent banditry, and to prevent kidnapping. When they are gainfully employed that way, it will minimize this a lot. It will minimize these actions that we are getting. Then the others have earlier mentioned the issue of using technology to actually monitor the movements of the train, to monitor the security of the tracks, and also to try to prevent bandits from happening. All these bandits that come out, to attack people, they live in the forest. I mean, they can be tracked. GPS, they can be tracked through drones, they can be tracked through phone calls. And one starts wondering what happened to the name and the same sinking that we did. The bandits make calls.
All right.
Is it that
Ambrose,
things are not registered?
yes.
So we can track these things through technology. It's not rocket science.
All right, Ambrose, I'm afraid we have to leave you here now due to time, but we thank you so much for your insight into the issues we have just talked about. Thank you very much.